Welcome back to the Road to City Hall. In the current economic crisis, a lot of attention is being paid to how the middle class is being hurt. But the homeless could also bear the brunt of the recession. Governor Patterson has proposed eliminating New York's homelessness prevention program as a way of balancing the state budget. The $5 million program has helped low-income city families live in permanent housing. And without it, our next guest fear thousands of families will end up in the shelter system. Here to talk about the planned cuts are Julie Spitzer of the Citizens Advice Bureau, a group that runs a settlement house in the Bronx, and Rashonda Russ, a single mother attending Monroe College in the Bronx who is in danger of losing her housing. We thank you ladies for joining us tonight, and first of all, let me just say we're very proud of you that you're in college and you're doing well.
Thank you.
But we're here to talk about the program. So Julie, in researching this program, it actually costs about, I think you said $4.5 million.
Yes, that's correct.
A year.
A year.
Now,
Citywide.
Citywide. This is very hard to believe in terms of if this program goes away, it will ultimately cost taxpayers how much?
Well, it could potentially cost over $100 million to taxpayers. I mean,
$100 million.
Potentially, yes. It costs we serve about over 6,000 people a year, and if preventing their homelessness. And if those people didn't have us to prevent their homelessness, they could end up in shelter. It costs $36,000 a year for a person living in shelter. So you could do the math on that. It's pretty much, it would be devastating if even half those people end up in shelter.
So given the state is dealing with a budget crisis, but $4.5 million on the front side, and the state is dealing with a devastating budget deficit, but $4.5 million on the front side compared to $100 million, as high as $100 million on the back side.
Yeah, it could be. Possibly, yeah.
Now, what exactly does the program do?
Okay. The program it's an eviction prevention program. It helps people citywide. It's based out of welfare centers. The major component of the program is enrolling people in the Family Eviction Prevention Supplement. Now, that's a supplement that is given to people on public assistance because the shelter allowance is insufficient for people to find apartments in New York. For a typical family on public assistance would, let's say, a family of 3 would get $400 for their rent. And there's nowhere in New York City you can find an apartment for $400. So with this supplement, by enrolling people in the supplement would raise their shelter allowance to $850. And the client could, at that point, contribute $100 from their food and other monies. And would be able to find an apartment for $950. But it's not as simple as that. For us to process these FEPS applications, you have to be trained in knowing how to read court stipulations, understanding New York City laws in terms of housing, understanding public assistance laws. We do a lot of advocating for clients, welfare advocacy for clients, and that's just a component. We serve about over 5,000 to 6,000 people processing 5,000 to 6,000 FEPS applications a year. In addition to that, we assist people in getting Section 8. We assist people in gathering charity money from charities and various other things.
Well, Rashonda, how valuable has this program been for you?
It's been very valuable. In fact, it helped me get back on my feet and attend college and one semester away from graduating now. So it helped me a lot. It actually, it was a big benefit, you know, for me.
And you're a mom, correct?
Yes, I am a mom. I'm a 4-year-old.
A 4-year-old. And so without this program, in real terms, what does it mean? Will it mean, in your opinion, people will ultimately end up out on the street?
Yes, it probably would mean that, yes. And overcrowding other people's homes or even the shelter system itself.
And why do you say that? Why do you feel that way?
Because, like, generally, like, people in the household, like, it's maybe, like, depending on the household size, it may not be room for other people, like, say, per se, me. I have a daughter. It might not be room in my family, friend's house or, you know, for me and my daughter. So the shelter system will have to take me, and it'll probably be harder there.
Now, how has the program helped you directly?
They actually helped me because I was, back in 2007, I was backed up with some rent, and one of my friends told me about the program, and I went to them, and throughout the process, they found me eligible, and they helped me with about over $2,000 in back rent. So they helped me a lot.
So in Rashonda's case, what would have happened if the program wasn't there to help with the back payments? I believe that's what you're saying, the back payments.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, she'd be on her own trying to navigate the court system. We assist all our clients in court. We go to court with them. We walk them through the system. We apply for the FEPS. I believe you're on FEPS, right?
Right.
So we help her process the FEPS application. I don't think that the governor really believes that this program is not useful. I just think it's an issue of who's going to pay for it. In this economy, I would have to say that with people getting laid off, if you go outside of housing court, specifically the Bronx housing court, the line wraps around a street corner. There are so many people losing their apartments and scheduled for eviction now. So I don't think anyone would be in disagreement that this program is needed. I just think it's an issue with who's going to pay for it. And
but in the meantime, we're talking about lives that are at stake.
Exactly.
Are you surprised, knowing Governor Patterson's background, are you surprised that he's put this cut on the table?
I'm shocked. I mean, when we first heard about it, we thought this was a mistake. You couldn't possibly be considering eliminating a program that's prevented over 6,000 evictions a year. I mean, it had to be a mistake. That's the first thing that came to mind.
You've been able to stop 6,000 evictions a year?
Yes, 6,000 evictions, over 6,000 evictions a year citywide. There's 5 organizations that provide the service, and together we've done over 6,000 evictions a year. Prevented 6,000 evictions a year.
Have you received any word that the program may be able to stay? When is it run out? In April?
April 1st. March 31st is scheduled for elimination.
So the deadline is right around the corner.
Yes, and we haven't heard anything. The Office of Temporary Disability, that's the office that funds this program, they haven't issued any notice. We read about this in the paper, actually. They didn't even announce this to the organizations by submitting a letter to us or anything like that. We read about the budget cuts through the paper.
Well, I'm sorry, but in a response that in a somewhat of a response that we received from the governor's office, they are basically saying that other agencies provide the same service.
There's no other agency that provides assistance with FEPS applications besides legal aid and legal services, and they don't have the capacity to do that. There are some agencies that provide prevention services, homelessness prevention services, which is a small component of what we do too. But the FEPS applications, no. And it's like, to me, the only way I can explain it, because I've heard the state say, some people in the state say that, well, maybe another program could pick this up. It's like asking, the only way I can compare it is, it's like asking an engineer to build a boat, and he builds a boat for 10 people, and the city puts 15 people on that boat. Now you see a ship that just wrecked with 100 people on there, and you send that same boat that was built for 10 people to pick up 100 people, and then you ask the engineer why that boat sank.
Well, that's a good analogy. I want you to hold your thoughts for just 1 second. We are back on the road to City Hall on this Thursday night, talking with 2 guests who oppose Governor Patterson's planned cuts to the homeless prevention program. Now, Rashonda, I want you to tell me a little bit about your background. We know that you said you have a daughter, 4-year-old daughter, and you're now in college with one semester to go.
Yes.
And you feel that this program has greatly helped you. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, my background is I came to this, I was a medical assistant, and I got laid off because my landlord, he didn't do his job as a landlord, and I had to take off days of work, and I actually got laid off. So a few months had passed when I was telling my friends my problems. I couldn't keep up with my rent payments. So she said, I know this program that they can help you. I said, they can help me? She said, yeah, you just got to go to them, apply. You might have to give some information, which was fine with me. And she took me there, and I went. Like I said, through the process, the paperwork, them finding out everything, they found me eligible. And when they found me eligible, I was still going back and forth to court. And they provided me with a notice for the judge, to stay my eviction. It's a court order to show cause. And I went and I did it, and they helped me. They approved me for the money that I was backed up with.
Now, if you didn't have this program, what were you going to do?
To be honest, I don't know. I'd probably be living with a friend, or I would have got evicted out of the apartment and trying to live with someone else. Or I would have been in the shelter system with my daughter.
With your child,
Yes.
sort of even another mother and child in the shelter system.
Yes.
I want to know how you come up with, Julie, the $100 million figure, that if the program is not continued, that it will ultimately cost taxpayers $100 million.
Okay. As I mentioned, we service about over 6,000 people a year, close to 7, preventing their evictions. If half those people, let's just say 3,500 of them, got evicted because we weren't there, we weren't there to prevent it, it costs $36,000 per individual to be in the shelter for 10 months.
But you know what? I don't mean to cut
And that's
you
the
off.
average stay.
Here's what I don't understand. When I started in journalism about 25 years ago, it was costing this alarming figure to put a mother and child or a family in a shelter. And I am just so frankly disgusted to hear a figure that is still costing all of this money.
To shelter someone, yes.
The shelter system.
Well, when you put someone in shelter, it costs $3,600 a month per family in shelter, because with a shelter,
$3,600 a month.
Yes, for someone to live in shelter.
Do you know that could be a mortgage payment?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was way more than what you helped me with to get into,
Yes,
back into my apartment.
It's way more than that, yes. And with shelters are required to have security. Shelters are required to have social services. Shelters are required to have daycare. Shelters have is a 24-hour facility that you're running. It's very expensive to run a shelter. Citizens Advice Bureau runs 2 shelters. It's expensive. But to keep someone in their apartment is much cheaper. No matter what, it's definitely more cheaper. So I believe if you do the math, $36,000, even at half, it's going to cost a tremendous amount of money in the long run.
So costing $4.5 million a year, and you're looking at ultimately the $100 million payment. How does this make you feel?
I mean, as far as the whole situation, I'm happy that they helped me, but I'm also worried about others, and it is a lot of people out there that's in the same predicament that I once was in that needs this help. So I feel a little disgusted as well that he wants to cut the program, but it's needed here. It's very much needed here.
Very much needed. I'm just curious, how did you get to the point in your life where you decided that you wanted to make it and you enrolled in college and you're one semester away from graduating?
Well, after I lost my job, I figured, being that I didn't have a GED at the time and this program was helping me.
So wait a minute, stop. So you're telling me you started with this and you didn't even have your GED at the time?
No, I did not.
And now you're one semester away from graduating from college?
Yes, with my GED.
And you're a mother?
Yes, I am.
That is remarkable. Continue your point.
Okay, so I kind of lost my point when you asked me those questions. But
I got excited over the fact that, that you're doing very well in school.
So I decided to go back to school, enroll myself into school, and continue to search for this goal because I liked in my position as a medical assistant. So I'm just in the field to get back to where I was when I started with you guys.
So what's the next step? What's going to happen now?
Well, we're lobbying. We're asking our legislators, assembly people, senators, to please vote this back into the bill.
And
the budget.
As far as the Citizens Advice Bureau, you've been involved with this program since when, 1992?
Since 1992.
And now, have you looked at the possibility of elimination before?
No, this is the first time we've actually had this problem. That's why it was shocking.
Okay, so now let me play the roles of devil's advocate here, if I'm the governor, if you will. I've got this huge budget gap. I've got to cut. I've got to cut. There are commercials up running against the governor from $11.99. Everyone is saying cut someone else, not me.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
Well, there are cuts that you can make for programs that are not essential to life. I mean, what are the essentials that you need? You need housing, you need food, and you need health care. These are the things, basic needs. If I was the governor, I would not look to cut stuff that fits basic needs for society. I mean, these are the basic needs. Housing is a right that people have to live with a roof over their heads. So for the government to choose a program that helps people stay housed, and it doesn't have and in the long run, it's going to cost him more money, it doesn't make sense to me.
So your final thoughts here, and I'll start with you. And again, I've said it, but I want to say it again. We're very proud of you. The fact that that when you started with this program, you didn't have your GED. You've obtained your GED, and now you're enrolled in college. And what is it that you want to do with your life? I
want to be a medical assistant. But
Okay.
before I got into that field by luck, I wanted to dance and stuff. But now that I'm in the field, I like it, and I'm real big on people's health. Like especially, I got a grandmother at home, and I'm real big on health. So.
And I'm just curious. I'm going off topic now. Where did you get the confidence in yourself to do as well as you're doing now?
Looking at my daughter every day, I just said, you know what, I got to do it for her. That's what made me go to this program. Instead of going and living into someone's shelter or, going through I try to save my apartment for the strength of my daughter.
Does it scare you if this program is cut, and I'm wrapping this up now, does it scare you that perhaps it won't affect you, but as you indicated, you're worried about others, that when the next mother comes along that needs help, and we don't want that safety net for her to fall through that safety net, does it really scare you or bother you that after April 1st, these folks, they may end up in trouble?
I mean, yes, it does, because I was once in that position, and when I was there, it was devastating. So it does worry me, and I hope that he does not cut the program, because other people really do need it. A lot of strong-minded people like myself that, want to do something with their life, yes, they need it.
We started with you, Julie. We end with you. Final point here.
Final point?
Bottom line.
Bottom line. This program is very much needed. I think the governor recognized that. HRA recognize it, Department of Homeless Services recognize it and supports it. It's about who's going to pay for it. And I just hope that the governor does not leave it on his legacy that he cut a program and left it so that they're debating on who's going to pay for it and the clients suffer in the meantime.
Well, ladies, we thank you very much for joining us tonight. We will follow closely to see what happens to this homeless prevention program. On that note, it is time for a break, and I will be back with the results of tonight's SNAP poll. Stay with us.